Before we move on, I have an important update on a game I know fans have been looking forward to. And on Nintendo Switch, I can't wait to drop off the battle bus and meet some of you on the battlefield in Fortnite.
Waifus for life. Come at me, bro.
Thanks for inviting me over.
Oh, you're a waifu or belong to me now.
Welcome to LuckyMojo.com.
Hello and welcome back to Lucky Crit. This episode's going to be a bit of a follow-up episode to the episode about 3 houses that I did recently. You can check that out up here. That episode was a speculation video. We didn't actually have any real news at that time for Fire Emblem 3 houses. I just found it kind of weird that we hadn't heard anything in so long. And for me personally, it kind of seemed like the window of time before the game was supposed to launch in spring 2019 this year, that window was kind of shrinking and shrinking without any news and wasn't really looking too good in my opinion. Although obviously there was still the potential of them doing another Nintendo Direct to finish off January or perhaps in February, which we could still see. And I think that that's probably going to be the case because we do actually finally have some new Fire Emblem 3 Houses news to discuss here, and it does seem like the game will in fact be meeting that spring 2019 deadline. Basically, what I wanted to get across in that video is that it didn't seem like there would be enough time for them to market 3 Houses, especially if there was only a couple more months left before release. Although they do consider June to still be spring. In my personal opinion, that's kind of like early summer to me. I don't really consider that to be spring, but I guess as far as their sales and their quarters go, that is actually part of spring, so it does still make sense, I guess. But the number of months between now and then is dwindling pretty fast, considering we are now in the second month of the year. So that was kind of the reason of my concern for that. And I do think personally that they do have to kind of rebuild a lot of hype for 3 Houses because it's been a very long time since we saw anything about the game. So I kind of feel like they have an obligation a bit to kind of reintroduce it to people. I think a lot of people that aren't invested into Fire Emblem that much probably won't even remember the fact that it was a part of that Nintendo Direct as part of their E3 presentation in 2018. So I think they have kind of a ways to go to kind of win over people and get them excited for the game. So I'm hoping that there's kind of a huge media blitz for this game. We could potentially still see something happening at E3 this year. Maybe that's when they'll release the final trailers for the game or something like that, with the game releasing soon afterwards. That's always a possibility. There were also a lot of you guys out there reminding me about the Fire Emblem Expo that's going to be happening in May. But from what we know of the events happening during that expo, it doesn't really seem like there's the potential of a trailer drop. It's certainly possible, but it does seem like there's going to be more of an orchestral music and kind of a live stage performance and that kind of stuff. It's not really your typical kind of presentation from Nintendo or Intelligent Systems or anything like that. So I don't really know for sure if there is the possibility of having a trailer drop, but I guess it is always possible. And a lot of you also did actually make a really, really great point in the fact that later on this year, we are supposed to be having other huge main series title drops like Pokemon. So it really doesn't make sense for them to do it later in the year because they're going to be competing with their other stuff. And early 2020 is also going to be pretty packed as well. So it really does seem like now would be the perfect time for them to launch the game if they can still meet the deadline, which it seems like they will be, because there's not really anything else as far as a huge main series IP first party title coming out for them right now. So this would in fact be the window for them to hit. But the brand new news for today is that Nintendo sets release windows for Fire Emblem, Pokemon, and more. So several release windows for the most highly anticipated Switch exclusives have been released by Nintendo courtesy of their latest financial report. So that's why this information is reliable, because they do actually have to report to their investors. This article does go on to state that there are no surprise titles on this list, but still, if nothing else, this does serve as confirmation that many fans needed for these titles that they're looking forward to. So once again, for those of us waiting for 3 Houses, it does seem like it is still going to be hitting this deadline, even though we haven't seen anything else yet for the game. Once again, we could end up seeing a Nintendo Direct in February or March, I guess. But personally, I do think they need at least a solid couple of months of marketing. I was hoping for more than that, because I think they should really drum up excitement for this game beyond just a couple months of marketing. But maybe they're just going to stick with the tried and trusted strategy that they always do. But once again, we can see here, Fire Emblem 3 Houses spring 2019, so it really does seem like they are going to be heading towards this deadline and that it will still be coming out. It's probably going to end up coming out in late May or June. And once again, maybe we will see something at E3 2019. A couple years ago, I did say it would be really, really cool to see a Fire Emblem display at E3, the same way that for Breath of the Wild, they did a huge display. That was really, really awesome. I think it'd be really cool if they even had like a tile grid system on the floor that people could walk around on. That would be amazing. I don't know if Fire Emblem is big enough for Nintendo even still to have that, or perhaps based upon the success of Heroes, they know how popular it could be. So maybe it could potentially be the prime focus of E3 2019. That would be amazing, but it would also stink to not be there if they were going to do that. So it does seem like Fire Emblem is swiftly shaping up to be one of Nintendo's top IPs amongst Legend of Zelda and other stuff. So I guess it's certainly a possibility that we could see an E3 centered upon Fire Emblem, especially for Three Houses, and especially if this is the big release happening right around this time window. So who knows? Once again, I do apologize if in that last video it was a little bit confusing about my tone. I think I kind of failed to elaborate upon the main point that I was trying to get across, and that I was a little bit worried when it comes to the marketing of the game, and I was kind of feeling like there wasn't going to be enough time. But they still have a good couple of months, and as long as we see something in like February or early March as far as Nintendo Directs, I guess it kind of still makes sense. And with this financial report, they're not going to lie, so it does still seem like their intentions are that the game will launch in spring 2019, so it doesn't appear that there is actually another delay. So that's pretty good news, especially if you're excited and waiting for it. There were actually a lot of you guys out there that really didn't expect this game until at least 2020, and thought that everybody else who thought we would get it sooner were kind of naive. So it does seem like we are actually getting it this year. But hopefully everything will still be great and come out properly with it. Obviously, there could still be a delay. We don't know. It's still in development. It's going to be probably in development until probably at least for another month or two, right? They have probably a little bit of time left to still finish up things, but they should know at this point, I guess, if there would be a delay or not, and it seems like there's not going to be. So once again, I do apologize if that last video was a little bit misleading. It was just my personal speculation upon kind of trying to figure out things and piece it together and see if it was still possible to have the game launch within this time window, which seems like it definitely still is. It's never my intention to kind of misinform or spread false information on this channel, but I did try to make it clear within that video that I was just speculating and that we had no real news to go off of, though I did see a lot of you guys that were disappointed in the comment section, so perhaps it wasn't that apparent. So I will do better about that next time. But that's going to wrap up this episode. Definitely let me know if you're excited to hear this news in the comment section down below. Are you excited that it's still going to hit this deadline? Were you really looking forward to it? Were you in fact holding off on buying a Switch for this game? Because maybe you're going to lose $300 in a couple months, and I will see you guys in the next episode.
You can put a Pokemon into the Pokeball Plus, then bring it with you.
What's your problem?
Sounds like there's already one inside.